of the Army of Bosnia and Herzegovina in Visoko. And at the risk of being imprisoned, once again I attempted to negotiate the end of war. I did everything that they asked me to do, even what they themselves believed to be impossible. However, the spiral of violence had reached such a high level that it was impossible to even discuss a truce. The desire to survive is such that it is difficult to ensure that those who had suffered terrible personal losses will always act reasonably. How to act in compliance with what was permissible under the circumstances which themselves are so impermissible as that war was. Your Honors, I knew that a large number of people that were under my command had suffered a personal loss, a loss of their family members or homes. I knew that there were people with their human faults. However, it was impossible for me to predict how each of them was going to react under war circumstances. I carried out my tasks with the people I had under my command, not the people I wish I had under my command. I never ordered a crime to be committed. I only ordered the implementation of what was necessary in terms of our operations.
Within the frameworks of my possibilities, I sanctioned certain acts straight away. Some, upon the advice of my associates and the authorities and institutions, were recorded with the intention of taking the necessary steps and procedure at a time when this would not be counterproductive for the overall system of defense. I also stood up to lawlessness, very often at the risk of my own life. And this is borne out by the fact that the criminals from my own ethnic group attacked me very often and a number of times tried to abduct me and kill me. There are documents to bear that out, and I have put them at the disposal of the prosecution. I have said all this in order to paint a realistic picture of the situation and the circumstances that I had to act in. My departure to Vareš did not have as its aim to perpetrate any crime, which would create as a response an attack by the BH army on Vareš, after which the Croatian people would have to leave that territory. The attack launched by the BH army on Vareš lasted for several days. It was already ongoing. The HV of Vareš asked for assistance, and in following orders, the orders given to me by my superiors, I did everything in my power to do what I could to save the situation. Unfortunately, certain individuals and groups did not respect the instructions received from their superiors, and in that very difficult and unforeseeable development of events, a crime took place. Nonetheless, it should not have been a justification for the serious crimes which happened to the Croatian people later on in that same territory. Your Honor, Your Honors, from everything that I have said and that you have heard, I would like to say that I did not order that crime to take place, nor did it take place with my knowledge, but it did happen. It was effected by individuals and groups to which I was superior, so that is why I am held accountable. Just as a commander can bask in glory for his good acts, the acts that he accomplishes together with his soldiers, so also military ethics and honor make it incumbent upon him to accept responsibility for the evil deeds that were committed. I will accept your sentence and judgment bravely and courageously. I am very sorry for all the victims and suffering that took place in Stupni Do and Vareš. Those victims were unnecessary, just as the war between two friendly nations was unnecessary. I should like to apologize to the families of the people who have suffered, expressing my full sympathies for having lost and my regrets for the loss of their nearest and dearest. This comes from the heart, and it is my sincere regret, because I understand the pain and suffering. I know this because the war brought pain and suffering to my own family, as it did to many other families, regardless of their ethnicity. All those victims deserve the truth and justice, and my cooperation with the prosecution is a contribution to the establishment of the truth and the acceptance of my responsibility of a man who is responsible but not broken, as my former attorney was prone to state. I am convinced that this grain of truth will be recognized and separated from the sea of lies which for years in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Republic of Croatia have been put about me by individuals and the intelligence services and media who are owned by various proprietors in order to make me keep quiet, to remain silent, and to cover up the truth, about the policies and politics pursued, policies which have made my own people both victims and aggressors in their own country. Only the truth can help future generations. And I will tell the truth and defend the truth regardless of threats and physical assaults, indeed, which I experienced in the detention unit. Since those threats were not only hurled at me personally, but at my entire family, and indeed my defense counsel as well, I should like to ask this honorable trial chamber to use its influence to protect them. Those people who are afraid of the truth will stop at nothing and use subtle and dangerous methods, which confirms the well-devised intelligence and media campaign launched in the Republic of Croatia against me after I had reached a plea agreement with the prosecution. How else can one explain the writings of a very influential Croatian weekly, which refers to Croatian intelligence services and the lies they put out, that I was responsible for the terrible tragedy that took place at the Markale market in Sarajevo, and as a threat to my family? If, along with this monstrous lie, they publish a photograph of my wife with my address and even the license plates of our family car. Is that not a covered-up invitation to the friends and family of those who suffered in that terrible crime to lynch my family in retaliation and revenge? And even more monstrous and worse lies were bandied about me through a program that is very popular on Croatian television. immediately after the plea agreement was made and immediately after I recognized my guilt. I should like to mention that my former attorney took part in that television program. I described him earlier on by with just two words. Such tricks that are being played and the fate of individuals in Croatia who cooperated with this tribunal are a lesson for caution, that I must proceed with care and do everything to see that my family are safe. They are well tried and tested methods of the lackeys of the regime, of poodles and dogs from the intelligence service and security services, of former political clans and present-day political clans who were at the head of our fateful events and who had our destiny in their hands in order to protect themselves. They are trying to cover up what actually happened and are doing their best to provide false evidence and proof and accuse others by doing so, and thus belittle this tribunal before the eyes of the Croatian public as well. I know full well that the prosecution is undertaking concrete steps to unmask certain false constructions that have been slipped into this tribunal. And I sincerely hope that they will give me the opportunity of personally taking part in unmasking these untruths. Your Honours, I have done everything in my power to ensure that you arrive at the whole truth. Proof and evidence about everything that happened stand firmly placed before you and are in your hands. I believe in your courage and your wisdom in weighing up a just sentence. I pray to God to give me the strength and health to persevere honorably and to go back to my family, which is blameless and who needs me very much. Thank you.